Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah.
Hare Krishna. Good to be back in Toronto. And all his wonderful devotees. So tonight I'm just going to speak a short while on the holy name. I think it's appropriate. This is a special program, a lot of chanting. So what I want to do first is offer my obeisance to Srila Prabhupada. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So by the arrangement of Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Srila Prabhupada began his movement in 26 Second Avenue, shortly thereafter he was able to make a recording of the Hare Krishna mantra and the Kevalastakam and other things. Probably most of you are familiar with that recording. And that recording then went out, and one of the ardent listeners of that was George Harrison of the Beatles. And he describes how he was floating off the Greek islands in a yacht with John Lennon and listening to that chanting of Srila Prabhupada for days on end. So that chanting that Srila Prabhupada did was very important and effective. And on that record, and in those days they had records, he gave an address describing the benefits of chanting. And I'm just going to read this little excerpt here, and it nicely encompasses what the chanting is all about. And then we'll discuss the first verse of the ISKCON for a short while. So Srila Prabhupada says on the record, this transcendental vibration established by the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the sublime method for reviving our transcendental consciousness. As living spiritual souls, we are all originally Krishna-conscious entities, but due to our association with matter from time immemorial, our consciousness is now adulterated by the material atmosphere. The material atmosphere in which we are now living is called Maya, or illusion. Maya means that which is not. And what is this illusion? The illusion is that we are all trying to be lords of the material nature, while actually we are under the grip of her stringent laws. When a servant artificially tries to imitate the all-powerful master, he is said to be an illusion. We are trying to exploit the resources of material nature, but actually we are becoming more and more entangled in her complexities. Therefore, although we are engaged in a hard struggle to conquer nature, we are ever more dependent upon her. This illusory struggle against material nature can be stopped at once by revival of our eternal Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, is the transcendental process for reviving this original pure consciousness. By chanting this transcendental vibration, we can cleanse away all misgivings within our hearts. The basic principle of all such misgivings is the false consciousness that I am the Lord of all I survey. Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. This consciousness is the original, natural energy of the living entity. When we hear this transcendental vibration, this consciousness is revived. This simplest method of meditation is recommended for this age. No other means of spiritual realization is as effective in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy as the chanting of the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And so now we'll just discuss the first verse of the ISKCON, one of the 8 verses that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wrote. And this wonderful verse describes in 7 metaphors the benefits that we can get from chanting. So those who know the verse, Cheto Dakaramajanam Bhavamahadavam Vinivapanam Shreya Karidavachandikavatavanam Vidyavadhu Jivanam Anandam buddhivardhanam patipadam purnamidaswadanam sarvatmasnaparam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Srila Prabhupada's translation from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart and stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. That chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white notice of good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables one to taste full nectar at every step. So in this one verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has informed us, through a very poetic use of metaphor, the benefits of chanting the holy name. So the first metaphor is describing the consciousness of the conditioned living soul as a mirror. Now when a mirror has dust on it, or any kind of dirt, you cannot see yourself clearly. And so this mirror needs to be cleansed. So it's Chaito Dharpana Marjana. By the cleansing process of the chanting of the holy name, the first benefit is that the mirror of the heart is cleansed and we can see ourselves as pure spirit, soul, rather than material body. And as soon as that preliminary cleansing is taking place, the blazing fire of material existence is extinguished. So we're all in this material world conditioned by our attachment and our entanglement with the material energy, beginning with this body. So therefore we have to suffer these threefold miseries. Miseries that come from our own mind and body, miseries that come from others, and miseries that come from the natural disturbances, like hurricanes or earthquakes or whatever. But one or more is always impinging upon us. So this is, and again, by transmigration of the soul, we stay in this material world and have to suffer these miseries. So it's compared to a great forest fire. And that forest fire is at once extinguished when the cooling rays of the holy name come down and extinguish it, and when the heart is polished. So then the next metaphor is Shreya Kaita Chandrika Bhavanam. This congregational chanting of the holy name of Krishna, especially Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is like the moonshine that causes the Kairava lotus of good fortune to expand. Some lotuses, they bloom at night due to the moonshine. So the Kairava is one of us, this white lotus. And what is that Shreya? Now Shreya is the ultimate good fortune that we can achieve. Normally, we are striving very hard for Preya, not Shreya. Preya is the immediate good that we can get. That the amelioration of some pains that we're feeling, or some immediate pleasure. That soon is finished. Every material pleasure has a beginning and an end. But spiritual pleasure, when we cultivate it, continues eternally. So, Shreya Kaita Chandrika Bhavanam, by this congregational chanting, we come in touch with that ultimate good, or ultimate goal of every soul, which is pure love for Krishna. That is the source of this unlimited bliss that we're searching for. And we're searching in the wrong place in this world. So the chanting naturally puts us in touch with that, and we begin to feel that pleasure. And that's why you go on chanting hour after hour after hour, and it never becomes hackneyed. You can always experience newer and newer pleasure. So then it says, Vidya Vadhu Jivanam, that this chanting of the holy name, congregational chanting, Sankirtanam, is the life and soul of transcendental knowledge. So we're suffering in this world due to ignorance. We don't know who we are. We don't know who Krishna is. We don't know what this world is. We don't know what the relationship is. We don't know how to really become happy or to mitigate our unhappiness. So all of that knowledge is within us, but we've forgotten it. It's covered by the modes of nature, by ignorance, avidya. So this is vidya vidujivanam. This chanting naturally begins to awaken that knowledge. And then we become eager to come into the association of devotees and hear the Shastra, hear the scripture, the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, that really enlighten us. So from within and without, Krishna is enlightenment. From without he comes as the devotees, pure devotees, the saints, the sadhus who teach us, and also as the scripture. And from within the super soul, Krishna is also enlightening us. So it all begins with the chanting. It begins and ends with the chanting. So this is very important. Shreya Vidyavadu Jivana. And what is the result of all this chanting? Anandam Buddhivardhanam. The natural ocean of bliss, that is our inherent light, expands. In the material world, we just experience a little drop, a little reflection of that happiness, and we call this pleasure. But it's that pleasure, said Srila Prabhupada, is actually the greatest enemy of the conditioned soul. He says, in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that the pleasures that come from the sense of contact and the sense objects is the source of all our misery. Because it keeps us here in this world, hoping against hope that we can become successful here. But the chanting of the holy name puts us in touch with the higher pleasure of Krishna consciousness. Krishna is Anandamayo Vyasat. This is from the Vedanta Sutra. He himself is always filled with bliss. Anandamaya, he's made of Ananda. We are part and parcel of Krishna. Mamai Bhakti Jivaloki, Krishna says, "Be my Amsha." So the Amsha, the particle, has the qualities of the full, complete, in minute degree. So we also have that Ananda, but we've lost touch with it, and we're trying to express it through this material world. So, although we are minute, we can still experience that ocean of Ananda when we're connected with Krishna always. And that connection, especially in this age, is effective through the chanting of the holy name. So, Anandam Buddhivardhanam. And then Pratibudam Purnamitasvanam. And then at every step of life, no matter if you're old or young or white or black, no matter what you are, you can experience this pleasure because it's spiritual. It's not depending on your material circumstances. So Pratibudam Purnamitasvanam. At every step, one can then taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. This is the teachings of Krishna in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then finally he says, Sarvatma Snapanam, that all living entities can bathe away all the impurities. It's like you take a dip in the, we had a nice Harinam at the Jagannath Bhakti Yatra in Montreal yesterday. Big, procession as we will have here. And it's interesting, here it's a long procession. You go down Yonge Street, but it's all downhill. It's not very difficult to pull that car. But in Montreal, most of it is uphill. Even though there's one car, it's a lot of it. They're pulling, dancing. So then, but then you take a nice dip, in the lake or shower, and it relieves all anxiety. So we can all bathe our consciousness in this chanting of the holy name. And it's really just a question of removing the impurities that have accumulated since time immemorial. All of us, as Srila Prabhupada said in that address, are originally Krishna conscious beings. We're pure devotees of Krishna. We're dancing and chanting in the spiritual world. And we've forgotten all that. We've turned away from Krishna. So the chanting is turning back to Krishna. By hearing and chanting the holy name. Krishna's, in the next verse he says he's invested all his potencies in these holy names. And he's made himself completely accessible. So we should take advantage of that opportunity. That's the beginning of this movement in the West was from the chanting. Srila Prabhupada just had the cartel and he's chanting. And he had the little drum chanting in Tompkins Square Park. And as soon as some interested souls began to chant seriously, immediately it became attractive. Immediately the Krishna consciousness began to awaken. And it's still expanding. And eventually, Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtan, Param Vijayate, that this chanting will be victorious over all of the illusion in this world. So, this is the Shikshastika, the beginning, and then the rest of the Shikshastika, he develops this and all the way to the highest levels of Krishna. So I'd like to just, since time is very limited, I want to just have a little slideshow. I think maybe we'll do Kevalastakam. Remember Kevalastakam? I wrote a little poem about it. And we can sing that, and then we'll have a feast, and then more kirtan till 6 in the morning. Whatever. As long as we can go. I'm sorry, did I put you on the spot? So let me just set this up for a minute, and then we'll have a little more chanting and dancing. Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam. Allow Nasteva, Kataram Yata. if you want to achieve the supreme goal of life in this age, when dissension and chaos abound, there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way that can ever be found but to chant Krishna's name, but to chant Krishna's name, but to chant Krishna's name with a stout-hearted vow. To pray, O Lord Krishna, O friend of the poor, let my head ever unto your lotus feet bow. So this is my little poetic rendition of that verse. But basically it's saying that if you want to be self-realized, to achieve the ultimate goal of life in this age, the chanting is the way to go. And that was the central fact of what Chaitanya is preaching. Yeah, very good. So this Kevalastakam, there are 8 verses, written by an anonymous author. They're so humble that many of these great poems, we don't know who wrote them. But these have been, this particular object has been accepted by our acharyas, and it encompasses many of the advantages of chanting Hare Krishna. So we have just a simple little beat, and you can pick up Prabhu with the harmonium. Give me a note on the harmonium. You say it's cool. Oh, just a little low. Just lift it up.
Yeah, I can do that. Something from cards? Okay.
You see what to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. That's good. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'll chant the Sanskrit, kind of without any beat, and then we'll sing I'll sing this, and we can come in on the refrain here, the last line, and then we'll have just one round of kirtan. We'll go on, there's 8 verses. So, can I have a note? Maybe an E. You guys, I can't hear you. Can you put a mic on?
I can do it.
Good, that's good. Mangalam Mahadevyopi Mangalavyopi Mangalam Pavanam Bhavivyopi Harinara Kevalam. Of sweet things it's the sweetest you will taste at any time. Of things that bring good fortune it's the perfect paradigm. Things that purify and purifies most powerfully. The holy name of Sri Hari is truly all that be. The holy name of Sri Hari is truly all that be. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Wow. I think the notice has been waiting all year for Dravida Prabhu's annual Sunday Feast poetry session. How long more